Let us be very still. Healing is not a demand that you march back through a burning house in order to prove that the fire is out. Healing, as we use the word here, is the discovery of presence, the awareness of what is already true, before the smoke and after the smoke. Words are only auxiliaries. Sometimes words are an interference. If you were sitting before me with your heart trembling, I would not load your lap with phrases. I would say simply, I will help you. And then we would be still. Be still and know that I am God. Do you see? The common trap, the one that has kept many of you weary and unrelieved, is this. The mind takes an event and turns it into a moving picture, and then it runs that picture like a theater with no closing hour. A sound is heard, a scent is caught, a sentence is spoken, and the reel begins. And because you are a faithful soul, you sit down dutifully before it and tell yourself, this is processing. But watching a screen is not living. It is consenting to sit in the dark while the projector dictates your weather. Do you follow that? The picture is not the event. The picture is a present mental presentation, a now image, and you as the watcher begin to believe that rewatching is healing. It is not. Here is the promise, and it is a gentle one. We are not recommending repression. We are not saying pretend there was no pain. We are saying learn to drop the picture and find the presence that is before it and after it. Presence is the picture appears and disappears upon it. Before Abraham was, I am. The I that is never inside the picture and never depends upon it for being. When I say drop the picture, I am not saying deny your tears. I am saying do not enthrone the projector. Do not worship the flicker. This is not a slogan to throw at anyone in pain. I resent it very much when slogans are thrown at me. We are here to suffer with silently until the still small voice announces itself. After the wind, after the earthquake, after the fire, a still small voice. You have all seen a coiled rope mistaken for a snake. You know the heart can pound at a thing that is not there. That pounding is not sin. It is simply what happens when the eyes believe what is not true. The remedy is light. The remedy is not arguing with a rope nor striking at it with a stick. Resist not evil. Do you see that? The picture, whether of yesterday's blow or last year's darkness, is like the snake in the rope. It claims power only while we grant it reality as a personal story. The moment light is present, there is rope, and there never was snake. The moment presence is realized, there is I am, and there never was a power to injure identity. Think of the master in a boat while the sea throws its pictures upon the minds of fishermen. Waves, wind, drowning, peace. Be still. He does not stare the storm down to prove his bravery. He abides where peace already is and lets that is dissolve the moving image. That is what we are learning. Not to be heroes in the theater, but to step into the light that makes theaters unnecessary. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. So I say to you with sober compassion, the way is safe. You will not be asked to reopen wounds or to force yourself through a scene to purchase relief. You will be asked to discover what is here now, even as the mind suggests a film. We will learn together to recognize the picture as a picture and to turn, not with strain, but with willingness unto presence. You need not prove anything to anyone. You need only stand by in consciousness until presence proves itself in you. And it will, for lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Do you see? Now let us place two little words before us, two that seem too small to hold such weight, yet they change the work entirely. Words are only auxiliaries. Sometimes words are an interference. But these two are not poetry. They are practice. As is. The infinite way, as you have heard me say often, is built around a few words. The first of these is as. The meaning is not complicated. God is manifest as individual being. God the invisible appears as Son, the visible. He that hath seen me hath seen the Father, not because a man is God, but because God is appearing as the man. Do you see? If this is true, and the Master says, I and the Father are one, then your identity is not a damaged person attempting to patch together a self. Your identity is the whole, appearing as your individual being. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. That is as the second word is. This is the heart of spiritual work. You are never trying to make God be present. You are never trying to manufacture peace. Harmony is, life is, love is, peace is, omnipresence is. You are not trying to make 2 and 2 4. You are realizing that it is 4. Be still and know that I am God. The I am is the is. Our practice is not to create, but to realize what already is. Do you follow that? Now bring this to the language of trauma. The senses testify, sometimes loudly, to danger, to shame, to sorrow, replayed. The mind whispers, build a wall, rehearse the facts, win the argument with the past. But safety is not a wall, and peace is not an argument. Safety is presence, and presence is. Underneath are the everlasting arms. We are not trying to create a safe room in the mind. We are discovering that the room we are in, this very now, is held in God. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. With me, as me. The with is the as. The thou art is the is. When identity is understood as God appearing as you, the picture on the screen loses its authority to name you. It may attempt to speak in the first person, my terror, my shame, my story, but the ass answers, no. I am not the picture. I am the presence appearing as this individual. When realization settles into is, the nervous system learns a new reference. Instead of swearing allegiance to the siren of memory, it begins to recognize the hum of what is always here. Peace is before the picture appears and after it fades. Before Abraham was, I am. The I am does not begin with the event and is not ended by it. Please notice, I am not asking you to fight your senses. I am asking you to let as and is be more authoritative than the senses, not by willpower, not by denial, but by recognition. Pause long enough for is to announce itself. Sometimes that is a breath. Sometimes it is 2 minutes of silence, but you will feel it, a softening, a widening, a quiet witness that does not argue and does not fear. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. The world gives peace by control of circumstances. Spirit gives peace by revealing that peace is not earned, not purchased, not postponed, As this realization matures, the question changes. It is no longer, how do I fix what happened to me? It is, who am I in the midst of what seems to happen? And the answer is consistent. I am the Son, the expression, the visibility of God. God appearing as individual being. When you stand there, even for a moment, the picture is no longer your biography. It is a suggestion skimming the surface of consciousness. It has no law to sustain it, no person to inhabit, no power to enforce itself. It is the arm of flesh, nothingness. In your day, let these two words be your staff and your rod. Whisper them not as charm, but as orientation. As God appearing as me, is God present as this moment. If you must speak to the storm in your body or in your memory, speak from here. Peace is, identity is God as. Then stand by in consciousness and let the fruitage reveal itself. Quiet a breath, steady a hands, a decision made in clarity rather than compulsion. Little by little, or suddenly as grace, you will find that the picture has lost its crown because it is no longer your source of identity. Do you see? Now that as and is have been placed at the center, let us look squarely at the picture that troubles you and ask, what is it in truth? Not what do my senses say about it, but what is its nature? In our work, the nature of error is always the first question, because if you name a thing correctly, you strip it of the disguise that lends it power. Error, as we use the term, is not a person. It is not a law. It is not a power. It is merely hypnotism, the universal belief in two powers trying to present itself as something to be feared or fought. Do you follow that? Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. To judge righteously is to discern the nature of what stands before you. The picture is only appearance. The righteous judgment is that God is one power, and therefore the other power is not. How does hypnotic suggestion operate? It does not reason. It repeats. It comes with vividness, with sound and color and bodily echo, and it whispers. Look again, and you will be safe. Review it once more, and you will have control. Name the villain. Rehearse the facts, and you will be free. But you have learned by bitter experience that the more you look, the more the looking creates a world in which there is always more to see. Suggestion promises safety by surveillance. It delivers exhaustion. It promises mastery by reliving. It delivers bondage to the real. O foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you? The bewitchment is not personal. It is the atmosphere of two powers, good over here, evil over there, until the heart is torn between them and calls that tornness wisdom. Do you see? Think again of the snake in the rope. The heart pounds, the breath shortens, the body prepares to run or fight. That reaction is actual as reaction. We are not minimizing that. But what is its cause? Not a snake, for there is none. A picture mistaken for a reality. The master's counsel is simple. Resist not evil. Do not swing your stick at an outline on a shadowed floor. Bring light. The moment light is present, the rope stands revealed. In the same way, the moment presence is realized, the picture stands exposed as the arm of flesh, nothingness. With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is the Lord our God. With us, as us. The appearance claims somethingness. Its substance is only suggestion. Now hear this gently. You are not wrong for having images. You are not unspiritual because a picture replays. This is not your private flaw. It is the impersonal activity of mesmerism pressing upon the senses of the whole world. It is like static that rides every radio wave. It is like heat that shimmers above a road and makes the tracks seem to meet. The shimmering is not your fault, and because it is impersonal, it can be dropped impersonally, without guilt, without argument, without self-accusation. Do you follow? The instant you stop calling it my trauma, my terror, and see it as suggestion presenting itself to consciousness, its false authority begins to thin. It has no law to sustain it. It has no person to inhabit. It has no power to enforce itself. Only consent sustains it, and consent can be withdrawn. Therefore, our method is not to analyze the picture. Analysis feeds it by granting it substance. Our method is recognition. Name it correctly and release it. Arm of flesh. Hypnotic suggestion. Nothingness claiming somethingness. Then stand by in consciousness for the is of God to announce itself. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. This stillness is not passivity. It is authority. It is the refusal to be conscripted into a fight with a shadow. When the picture attempts its entrance, remember, it is not your identity. Identity is as God appearing as you. Peace is, before and after any frame. If there seems to be force in the image, that is only the freight of repetition. Do not lend it tomorrow by staring at it today. Drop it and turn. Even a breath of righteous judgment, this is only suggestion, opens the window for presence to enter, or rather, to be recognized as already here. And as that recognition grows, you will discover that the projector has lost its audience, and a screen without an audience cannot play. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know. Less compulsion to look, more capacity to live. Do you see? Now we come to the gentle pivot. Many draw back at this point and say, if I drop the picture, am I not denying what happened? Hear this with kindness. We are not confusing denial with dominion. Denial argues with facts and tries to paste a smile on a bruise. Dominion stands in another jurisdiction entirely, the is of God, and lets that is reveal the nature of the bruise's appearance without law. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Stayed, not on the film, not on the voice that says, tell me again, but on thee. Do you see? When someone sits before me trembling and the story is on their lips, I do not say, tell it again in greater detail so we can chase it down. Words are only auxiliaries. Words sometimes are an interference. My conversation is usually limited to, I will help you. And then we stand by in consciousness. We are not indifferent to their pain. We are refusing to enlist in the picture's army. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. There is a vast difference between spurning a person's tears and standing with them inside the presence of comfort. We choose the latter. We stand by until presence announces itself, often without a single sentence beyond, I will help you. This is the pivot. When the image rises, you do not wrestle it to the floor. Wrestling acknowledges it as an opponent with strength. You turn from it as from a sound in another room, not with anger, not with fear, but with quiet authority to the awareness that notices it. Do you follow? If there is a picture, there is also that in you which sees the picture. Turn to that. Be still and know that I am God. Be still enough to sense the breath that is not rushed by memory. Be still enough to feel the warmth in the palms, the weight of the body in the chair, not to worship sensation, but to let the present moment carry you into the recognition that life is here, peace is here, is before and after any frame. At first the mind will shout, but are we not avoiding? No. Avoidance is running from a thing believed to be a power. We are not running. We are seeing through. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is this. This picture is suggestion. It has no law, no person, no power. I will not argue with it. I will not feed it by rehearsal. I will stand by in consciousness until the presence that is becomes more persuasive than the story that was. And it will, in returning and rest, shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Sometimes the only outward act is a softened gaze and a slower breath as you inwardly say, I will help you, to yourself or to the one before you. Then silence. The silence is not emptiness. It is receptivity. We are priming the pump, as it were, not with many declarations, but with a turning that says, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. The shift may be slight, a loosening along the back of the neck, the sense that you no longer have to hold your defenses like shields. Do not despise small fruit. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will see that this pivot bears results. Let me say it plainly so there's no confusion. You do not defeat the picture by argument. You pivot away from it and stand by in consciousness until presence is felt. You do not need to reopen the wound to prove you are sincere. The sincerity will be proven by the peace that begins to govern your minutes, by the freedom to choose a course without the compulsion to consult the real. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. Casting the burden is not throwing it across the room. It is refusing to cradle it in imagination. From here we begin the how in a simple sequence, not harsh, not re-exposing, but workable at the kitchen sink and in the midnight hour. First, we will learn to name the picture rightly and drop it without argument. Then we will learn to let isness be felt before words stir. Then we will let identity as God appearing as you replace the biography that has tried to speak your name. But all of this rests on the pivot you have just heard. From tell me the story to stand by in consciousness. Do you see? Now to the first workable skill, and it is immediate. Do not wait for a quiet house or a perfect mood. The moment a picture presents itself, whether as a sudden flash or a slow unfurling, you do three things. First, recognize this is a picture. Say it inwardly, not as a slogan, but as righteous judgment. Picture, not person. Picture, not power. Like seeing the rope and not the snake. Do you follow? This already loosens the spell because it names the activity at the level at which it operates in imagination. Second, impersonalize it. This is suggestion, not my past, not my identity, not a private demon assigned to torment this one life. It is hypnotic suggestion, the universal belief in two powers, reaching for a name tag in your consciousness. Do not give it one. In the old phrase, it is the arm of flesh appearance claiming substance. You may, if words help in the first 2 seconds, whisper, no law, no power, no presence, only presence. Then be still. With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is the Lord our God. With us as us. Do you see? Third, drop it. Drop it does not mean push it away. Pushing presumes it is a something to shove. Dropping is the withdrawal of interest from a false alarm. You know the sound. The smoke detector chirps on a day of clear air, and you don't call the fire brigade. You remove the battery and open a window. So here, you do not fight, you do not feed, you do not explain. You let the real go unfed. You release the handle of the projector. How? By ceasing to look at it, by ceasing to speak for or against it. Resist not evil. Return attention to what is actually present. The weight of your body in the chair, the sound of the refrigerator, the hum behind all hums. Not because the chair is your savior, but because the now is the door. Be still and know that I am God. No, not argue. Dropping may be one exhale. It may be the simple inward consent, I will help you. Then silence. The silence is not vacancy, it is receptivity. You are not repressing. You are relocating your attention from the movie to the screen, from the noise to the quiet in which the noise appears. If the mind insists, but what if we must understand it? You answer with authority. No law, no power, no presence, only presence. Then drop it again. We do not wrangle with wind. We face into the stillness that governs wind. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. Let me be very clear so there is no confusion. Dropping is not self-betrayal. You are not abandoning the child within or dismissing the wound. You are refusing to enthrone a ghost. You are declining to fuel a picture with your gaze. The master did not sit in the boat, recalculating the wave height. He said, peace, be still, and rested where peace already is. When you drop the picture, you are choosing that jurisdiction. The proof that you have done it will not be an explosion of fireworks, but a small, real shift, a cooler brow, a little more room in the chest, the ability to choose a response rather than be dragged by a reflex. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know. Practice this 12 times today in little matters, for this is not a lazy man's work. At the first twinge of rehearsal, picture, suggestion, drop it, then hold your peace. If a fragment returns, you do not scold yourself. You repeat the steps as a mother might guide a child across a street, gently, consistently, without drama. In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. The returning is the dropping. The rest is the refusal to feed the real. And now, because dropping creates space, you must rest somewhere, or the mind will rush to refill the vacuum with another frame. Where do you rest? In what is not a concept, a felt isness. Presence, not words about presence. In a moment, we will take that as our next step, learning to abide until the is becomes more persuasive than the story. For now, take this first key and keep it close. Picture, suggestion, drop it. No law, no power, no presence, only presence. Do you see? Now we enter the second step. Dropping creates a quiet. Do not rush to fill it with words. Sit in it. Stand by in consciousness. We are not manufacturing a mood. We are recognizing what already is. Harmony is. Life is. Love is. Peace is. Presence is. I am. Do you see? This is realization, not affirmation. You are not trying to talk God into a room. You are noticing that God is the room in which your noticing takes place. In Him we live and move and have our being. How do you do this? In the minute after you have dropped the picture. Let attention turn from the real to the fact that you are aware, not what you are aware of. Aware. There is breath. Yes. There is a sense of aliveness under the ribs. There is the hum behind all hums. But even more primary is the I that knows these. Rest there. Be still and know that I am God. This is not an argument. It is a leaning back into what was here before the memory spoke. You are not counting breaths to control a body. You are letting the body be while you recognize that being is, peace is, safety is, presence is, I am. At first you may wish to prime the pump with a single sentence. Peace is. Then silence. If words continue to parade, say to them gently, words are only auxiliaries, and let them pass. Return to isness. It is something like standing at the ocean and realizing the ocean does not begin when you arrive. It is already moving of its own life. So here, love is without your effort. Life is without your guard. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. The world gives peace by controlling surfaces. Spirit gives peace by uncovering that peace has never been absent at depth. How do you know you have touched it? Even slightly. There is a small yield in the system. Perhaps the jaw releases one notch. Perhaps the eyes, which were tight as fists, soften. The body may still tremble. That is not failure, but fear loses authority. It is as if fear remains as weather while you remember you are indoors. The storm can rattle the window panes, but it cannot scour out the floor beneath your feet. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Stayed on thee means stayed on is not on yesterday's wind. Do you follow that? Stay only long enough to feel the balance tip. It may be 20 seconds. It may be 2 minutes. The measure is not a clock. The measure is fruitage, a clarity to choose the next right thing without consulting the real. If no shift is felt at once, do not accuse yourself. Return to the first step, picture, suggestion, drop it, and then re-enter isness. This is not a lazy man's work, but it is simple work. Each return strengthens the recognition that presence is the only presence. Lo, I am with you always. With you as you, even before we come to that word, as. Let me tell you how I do it when someone sits before me in distress. I say, I will help you. Then I become very still, without describing conditions, without fencing with appearances. I let consciousness sink into is often, within a minute, the air in the room becomes softer. The person is not told more of the story. Perhaps nothing has been said, yet something has declared itself. You have felt this yourself, an inner witness that does not come from you and yet appears as you. The kingdom of God is within you. Practice now, in little pauses through the day, after the kettle clicks. Before you answer the call, when a thought knocks to be rehearsed, peace is, life is, love is, presence is, I am. Then listen. This listening is the pivot from letter to spirit, from saying truth to hearing, truth declare itself. When that declaration dawns even lightly, identity already begins to loosen from biography, and this prepares the next step. For as is becomes more convincing than memory, you will be ready to see who you are in that is. Not a traumatized self managing symptoms, but God manifest as individual being. That is the as toward which we are moving. Do you see? Now we enter the third step. Here is the turning point. The work speeds up the moment your question changes from what happened to me to what is God appearing as right here. Do you see? The first question anchors you to a record. The second lifts you into identity. We are not asking you to feel holy or to glow in the dark. We are asking you to witness rightly. God is appearing as individual being. God is manifest as you. I and the Father are one. When you take this stand, the biography loses the throne it has held. The as cannot be injured, cannot be stained by yesterday, cannot be disinherited by a document in memory. How do you do this? After you have dropped the picture and rested in isness, offer a simple, quiet witness, not as a spell, not as an argument, but as recognition. This is God appearing as me whole, intact, governed. Then listen. Do not press for a feeling. Feelings follow realization. They do not cause it. You might add, if it helps steady the heart, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear it within, addressed to you, not as flattery, but as fact. Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. Sonship is not a mood. It is the nature of being. The Father's pleasure is not earned by balanced nerves. It is announced by grace. Now, a word about unsaying. We do not unsee facts irresponsibly. A calendar date occurred. A sentence was spoken. A body trembled. We do not lie to ourselves about the page, but we unsee the claim that the ink on that page has present authority over being. We unsee the pretense that an old photograph can name the living soul. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is this: the event has no law to continue itself as identity. The rope never was a snake. Your pounding heart was a sincere response to a picture, but the picture had no serpent in it. In the same way, your being this very instant is God appearing. The biography may describe weather. It cannot define the sky. Make this practical several times a day, in quiet and in traffic, in the kitchen and in the meeting. Pause after your isness and bear this witness once. Simply, this is God appearing as governed. Then be silent. Let the words fall back into the sea that spoke them. If the mind protests, but the record answer gently. The record is a page. I am the life, reading it. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. Ever with me means now, not after more processing. All that I have includes composure, clarity, and dominion now. Do you follow? What will show that you are not fooling yourself by your life experience, by the fruitage? You will find yourself choosing from presence rather than from the file. The same phone rings, and you answer without the old armor. The mind reaches for the real, and your hand no longer reaches back. A conversation that used to ignite becomes a place of quiet listening. You will notice that recollection can occur without reliving, as if the image has lost its hooks. These are not fireworks. They are governance. They are the signs that identity is relocating from biography to as keep it gentle and regular. Do not wait for crisis. In small pauses, let us settle you, then let us name you. 12 times a day, 2 sentences at most, and then listening. This is not a lazy man's work, but it is short work done often, little by little or suddenly, as grace the sense of a traumatized self-managing symptoms gives way to the truth. God appearing as individual being. When that is your standpoint, The real may still knock, but there is no one at the address who will open the door. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Stand there, and let the pleasure of the Father be the law of your day. Do you see? Now we come to the conversation you stop having. The human mind desires a courtroom. It wants exhibits and timestamps, cross-examination and closing arguments. It says, if I can get the sequence just right, I will finally be free. But do you see? A courtroom requires a case, and a case requires a defendant. And in order to have a defendant, you must keep the picture alive. Every time you rehearse the docket, you give it oxygen. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment does not put the picture on the stand. It refuses the trial entirely in the light of is. The mind wants argument. Spirit gives presence. The mind wants evidence. Spirit is self-evidencing as peace. Do you follow that? Therefore, we practice a disciplined restraint with words. Words are only auxiliaries. Words sometimes are an interference. You are not being asked to develop a better argument. You are being invited to cease arguing. When the thought stream begins its litigation, what if, but then, and yet you do not become its opposing counsel. You retire the court. How? By a brief, clean witness and then silence. Be still and know that I am God. Stillness is not vacancy. It is the condition of hearing. Stillness is the nursery of is. This is why we prime the pump. Not with paragraphs, not with a creed repeated until hoarse, but with brief, conscious knowing placed at hinges of the day on waking. Peace is. Presence is. I am. Before meals, life is the source and the substance. I live, yet not I. Christ liveth my life. Before sleep, I will both lay me down in peace and sleep. For thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. When the phone rings with trouble, do not rush into speech. Pause once inside and know God is on the field, as the one who calls, as the one who answers. Then, if any words are required outwardly, let them be few. I will help you. That is the letter that opens the way to spirit. From letter to spirit means this. We use the word only long enough to turn. One sentence, two at most. Harmony is. Presence is. I am. Then we listen. We do not recite truth at God. We let God declare truth in us. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. At first you may feel you are only listening to quiet. That is enough. In that quiet, something greater than your thought begins to announce itself. You may not catch a phrase. You may only sense a softening, a slight unwinding of defense. Do not rush to comment on it. Stay with the silence that brought it. In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. As this becomes your habit, you will notice that the mind's courtroom opens less frequently. Why? Because there is no audience. The usher throws open the doors to an empty hall. The case is dismissed, not by brilliant debate, but by lack of attendance, by your life experience, by the fruitage. You will know fewer inner arguments, quicker returns to center, choices made from presence rather than from panic. This is the proof that you have begun to live in is, and to wear as your name. Let me be as practical as possible. Keep a few occasions sacred. Upon waking, at meals, before sleep, and at the ring of a distress call. In each, prime the pump with a single clear recognition. Peace is, presence is, I am. And then listen. If a thought intrudes with its files, do not scold it and do not follow it. Return to listening. If sensation surges, let it pass through the space of you, the space that is God's own being appearing as you. Thou seest me, thou seest the Father, not because the body is divine flesh, but because identity is never separate from its source. Do you see? Now, because life does not always provide a quiet chair and a long breath, we must be ready for the sudden ambush. The picture will sometimes leap like a thief into the first 20 seconds of awareness. In that moment, the mind will try to convene the court at speed. Do not go. You already know the way. One, inward, naming, picture, suggestion. One clean dropping, and then the shortest turning into is even a single inward word. Peace is enough to pivot the whole being toward listening. In the next section, we will take those first 20 seconds and show you exactly how to stand inside them until the presence, that is, takes over the case and renders the only verdict there ever was. My peace I give unto you. Do you follow? Now the picture attacks. It does not knock. It floods. The body tightens. The old film starts to unreel itself without your consent, and you feel the summons to a court you did not call. First, be of good courage. This is not failure. This is practice. Triggers are not a verdict against your progress. They are invitations to demonstrate impersonalization with precision. Do you see? The work is immediate, but it is not frantic. We are not rushing to repair a breach. We are standing where there never was a breach in is. In the first seconds, notice. That is all. Notice that a picture has leapt into your field. There is a shock wave. Let noticing be clean, not dramatic. Then, name it rightly. Picture, suggestion, not me, not my life. This is a picture claiming presence. The moment you say, inwardly, suggestion, you have already removed the badge from its jacket. It stands now as what it is. A claim without law. With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is the Lord our God. Arm of flesh means appearance only, no substance, no ordinance to compel you. Do you follow? Next, relax the fight. This is not passivity. This is strategy. Resist not evil. You are not trying to subdue a serpent. You are recognizing the rope. Unclench the jaw, one notch. Let the shoulders fall half an inch. Exhale once, as if setting down a bucket you were not required to carry. Say nothing to the picture, no defense, no rebuttal. Words are only auxiliaries. Words sometimes are an interference. Your very non-engagement is the withdrawal of consent from the belief in two powers. Now, return to isness. Let the present moment meet you. There is a sound nearest you, one sound. There is a contact point, the chair, the ground beneath the feet. There is breath moving, unforced. Proof that life is here, independent of memory. You are not using breath to control experience. You are letting experience be seen inside is. One inward recognition piece is, then listen, not as a technique, but as a turning. Be still and know that I am God. Stillness does not erase weather. It uncovers the house you are in. If you are with another, or if you are alone in a crowd, let a single inner phrase open the way. I will help you. Say it to the frightened sense, not as sentiment, but as authority. I will help you. Then stand by in consciousness. Do not revisit the real to see if it has stopped. Do not peek. We are not forcing calm. We are refusing to furnish the theater. The lights dim when there is no audience. This is the aim in these 20 seconds. To withdraw belief from the picture as a power, and to abide in is until presence announces itself. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. A student told me of standing in a grocery line when a particular cologne pierced the air and the old scene crashed in like surf. The hands began to shake. She had practiced, so the sequence was there without drama. Notice, picture, suggestion, shoulders down. One exhale. Hand on the cot, feeling the cool metal. Peace is, I will help you. No prayer in paragraphs. No fencing with shadows. By the time her turn came, the body still hummed, but authority had shifted. The mind had not convened the court. She paid and walked to the car with her peace intact. Do you see? We are not measuring by the absence of sensation. We are measuring by the absence of enthronement. How do you know it is working without chasing emotional proof? By your life experience, by the fruitage. The surges may still come, but they shorten. The gap between stimulus and your pivot becomes smaller until the picture cannot assemble its jury. Choices, even under pressure, arise from presence rather than panic. You sleep sooner after a jolt. You speak fewer unnecessary words. You notice you can remember without reliving, as if the hooks have been sanded down. If instead you find yourself arguing inwardly for 10 minutes, return to the simplicity. Picture, suggestion, drop it, is, I will help you. Each clean return is a victory of jurisdiction, not a failure of effort. Keep it exact and keep it brief. The first 20 seconds are not for analysis. They are for relocation from the theater of appearances to the sanctuary of is. Then, when the balance tilts, and it will let as quietly take its seat. This is God appearing as me, whole, intact, governed. But do not rush there. First, cut the cord to the real. Then abide. Perfect love casteth out fear, not by wrestling it to the floor, but by revealing that only love is. And in that revealed is, you stand calm, not because you have suppressed the storm, but because you have remembered where you are and who is living your life. Lo, I am with you always. Do you follow that? Now let us be very simple about validation. How do you know this is working without revisiting the old theater and counting tears as trophies? By your life experience, by the fruitage, by their fruits, ye shall know them. Fruitage is not a mood. Fruitage is not a dramatic catharsis at 3 a.m, followed by the same bondage at noon. Fruitage is measurable harmony appearing where reaction used to be. Fruitage is authority returning to your day. Do you see? What does it look like in practice? The replays grow shorter. The mind reaches for the real, and you are already not there to hand it the handle. The first 20 seconds become your ally rather than your enemy. You pivot sooner. You abide quicker. You do less explaining. The body may still announce weather heat in the chest, a tremor in the hand, but you fear the weather less. You stop interpreting sensation as a subpoena. Decisions regain their normalcy. You are able to choose lunch without consulting yesterday's storm. You return calls that once you delayed. You keep ordinary appointments and find them undramatic. You speak fewer unnecessary words, and you hear more. Your sleep comes sooner after a jolt. You notice humor returning to rooms that used to feel like courtrooms. Relationships clear. It becomes easier to say yes when yes is true and no when no is true, without the old compensations. These are not fireworks. These are governance. The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds. Keep means guard, garrison, practical protection, not a poetic line. Now hear this warning, because it will save you months. Do not mistake an emotional jag for realization. Intense feeling is not proof. A wave of relief or a flood of sorrow may pass through, and that is not wrong, but fruitage is not counted in amplitudes. If after an ocean of tears you return to the same arguments with the mind, you have had weather, not governance. If, however, there is less drama and more quiet choosing, if the problem threads in your day untie more quickly and naturally without your forcing, then consciousness is shifting. If your child speaks a difficult word and you find yourself listening from center rather than flinching from the past, consciousness is shifting. If the body hums and you remain kind, consciousness is shifting. Do you follow that? Let us put it in plain if-then terms so you can judge righteously. If problems are being solved more quickly, if triggers release sooner, if you are returning to is with less corridor time in between, then you are not fooling yourself. The work is in your bones. If, on the other hand, you find that weeks pass and the courtroom is as full as ever, do not condemn yourself. This is not a lazy man's work, but neither is it a cruel taskmaster. Return to the steps with precision. Picture, suggestion, drop it, is, then, as. Keep the words few. Keep the listening deep. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Make free as fruitage. If freedom is not appearing yet, continue in the word until the word continues in you. I will give you a small test you can use across the day. Ask, am I living today by pre-approval from old scenes or by present presence? If by presence, you will notice a lightness even in duty. You will forgive without announcing it. You will forget to check whether you have healed yet. You will find yourself where you are, doing the next right thing, and only later realize that the hook that once snagged you was not there. That after-the-fact discovery is one of the sweetest fruits. The absence of enthronement discovered only in its absence. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit. Identity realized as is the good tree. Harmony experienced in ordinary hours is its fruit. Keep your validation grounded where it belongs. Not in visions, not in borrowed phrases, not in the number of meetings you have attended about the past, but in the quiet shifts of conduct and capacity. Do you answer more quickly from peace? Do you refrain from picking the scab of a memory for the comfort of familiarity? Do you stop mid-story and smile because you remember the screen is larger than the picture? These are fruit. Thank God for them, and keep working. And now, because love never keeps its good to itself, we must extend this method outward. How do you stand with another in their hour without tossing slogans at a wound? How do you help without turning presence into a speech? In a moment, we will take that up. We will see how to stop voicing truth at people and start witnessing truth for them, silently, steadfastly, so that the same is and as that have set you free become the atmosphere in which they too discover, son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. Do you see? Now we speak of helping another. Here the temptation is greatest to throw words at wounds. Do not, The one before you is not a post on which to hang your slogans. There are no accidents. It was meant to be. All things happen for a reason. These are stones, not bread, when offered to a hungry heart. They antagonize and harden. Words are only auxiliaries. Words sometimes are an interference. Do you see? The ministry is not to impress a mind. It is to bear witness to presence until the presence proves itself. Keep the speech minimal, honest, and kind. I will help you. That is enough outwardly. Inwardly, we do the work. What is the inward work? First, give not a thought to the person or the condition as a power. This is a discipline. The appearance may be loud, a diagnosis, a betrayal, a night of shaking, but you must refuse the belief in two powers. Name within yourself what confronts you. Picture, suggestion, arm of flesh, not a person to fix, not a condition to conquer, a claim without law. With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is the Lord our God. The instant you see suggestion as impersonal, you withdraw consent from fear's authority. Do you follow that? Second, stand by in consciousness and enter is. Do not speak about God to them. Do not speak about them to God. Be still and know. Harmony is. Peace is. Presence is. I am. Sit inside that recognition until there is a soft yield, a slight quiet in you. This quiet is not passivity. It is the hearing room of spirit. Outwardly, you may simply hold a hand or sit in silence. Inwardly, you are allowing the presence to testify of itself. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. Peace here is not a phrase. It is the atmosphere you bring into the room. Third, behold the as. Let identity replace biography for them as you have been practicing for yourself. Without staring, without mental strain, see through the eye to the light behind the eye and bear this witness. This is God, appearing as this one whole, intact, governed. Thou seest me. Thou seest the Father. I and the Father are one. Say it silently as seeing, not as a sentence to be heard. If a phrase wishes to rise, let it be love's own. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear it addressed to them within you. You are not informing God. You are aligning your sight with God's seeing. In that alignment, something lifts. Often you will feel it, even if they do not yet name it. Do you see? When they wish to speak, let them. Do not hurry the narrative and do not mine it for teachings. If tears appear, let them fall without comment. If the courtroom of the mind tries to open, refuse to convene it by argument. Keep the words few. I will help you. I am here. Then return within to is and as on their behalf. This is compassion that heals because it does not make a case. It unveils a presence. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know you are helping. The air becomes softer, the tightness loosens, the story loses urgency without being denied. They breathe more freely. You find yourself speaking less and meaning more. I say to you frankly, I resented very much when in my own hour, someone starts voicing truth at me. It is a violence dressed as virtue. Do not do that to anyone. Keep your ministry to as little as possible outwardly and as much as possible inwardly, priming the pump with one inward recognition, peace's presence, is, then listening, then the beholding of as, is enough to open the way for grace to declare itself. Son, Thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. Let that be the climate in which you accompany a friend, a patient, a child. Now see the transition this makes possible in a life. If you practice this silent witnessing in little daily moments at the doorway, before a meeting, on the sidewalk, your atmosphere changes. Crises become rarer, not because the world quits, but because consciousness is governed. The picture cannot gather a jury in a house already filled with is. In our next step, we will make this practical as a daily rule discipline without strain, so that help is no longer an emergency act, but the unbroken tone of your day. Do you follow that? Now we make it a way of life. This is not a lazy man's work. It is gentle, but it is disciplined. Do you see? We are not adding strain. We are removing it by providing the mind with a simple, repeatable rhythm it can obey without theatrics. Think of it as setting a bell in your day, 3 times at least, with little chimes in between, brief recognitions that build the atmosphere in which the picture cannot find air. Morning, before the hand reaches for the device, before the world names you, prime the pump. Sit or stand where you are and keep it brief. Peace is, presence is, I am. Say it once inwardly and then listen for 30 seconds. Not as a technique, as a turning. If thought attempts a schedule of virtues, smile and return to listening. Then add as recognition, not as self-inflation. This is God appearing as me, whole, intact, governed. Again, listen. 2 sentences at most. Then rise and do the next ordinary thing. This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Rejoicing here is not clapping. It is inner consent to what is already true. Midday. Somewhere between the first rush and the second wind, halt for 1 minute. Shut the door or stand in a hallway. Drop any picture that has gathered. Picture. Suggestion. Drop it. 1 exhale. Peace is. Then listen. If you must add a word, add as. God is appearing as individual being this very instant. You are not trying to change the afternoon. You are realizing is in which the afternoon lives. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Stayed does not mean strained. It means returned and laid down. Evening, before sleep. Cease arguing with the day. We are not tallying victories or defeats. We are withdrawing the court's docket. Enter the listening. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. Let 3 breaths pass without commentary. If a scene presses, name its suggestion, and let it float by as a leaflet with no address. Then, close with the Father's own benediction, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear it addressed to you, and let sleep come as trust, not as exhaustion. Between these anchors, train your seeing. Practice unseeing, not irresponsibly, but righteously. When human good shines praise, profit, a sunny report, do not enthrone it as your life. See through it to source. When human evil barks delay, insult, a tremor, do not enthrone it as your law. See through it to source. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment beholds the invisible as the cause and measure of the visible. This unseeing softens reactivity both ways. You are not jerked by headlines of either kind. Do you follow that? Keep the practice minimal and frequent. The less you dramatize the picture, the less life it has. 1 breath, 1 word, 1 listening, over and over. at thresholds, doorways, phone rings, seat belts, computer logins. Let each hinge become a sanctuary. Pieces, presences, I am, then, as. This takes 10 seconds and buys back hours of sanity. Words are only auxiliaries. Words sometimes are an interference. So keep them few. Let the Spirit do the convincing. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. What will this produce? By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know. Triggers grow less frequent because they cannot assemble a court in a consciousness already filled with is. The mind reaches for the real, but the theater is dark and empty. Choices arise from presence. Conversations lose their heat. Fatigue less often becomes a door for fear. When storms appear, your first 20 seconds are already trained. You pivot without fuss. This is discipline without strain. Let us return to our thesis and make it portable. You do not heal by reliving a picture. You heal by impersonalizing it as suggestion, dropping it, and abiding in it until identity is known as God appearing as you as. So begin today with this one rule you can carry in your pocket. At every hinge of the day, one recognition and then listening. Pieces, presences, I am. Then this is God appearing as me. Stop. Listen. Do this morning, midday, evening, and at small thresholds. If you are faithful in little, grace will be lavish in much. Abide in me, and I in you. Abide is the word. Abide. And the picture has nowhere to live. Do you see?